are at the last of the preventative exercises, and this section we're calling belonging and connection. And we've covered a lot of different things and given you quite a few exercises and tools, shared our personal experiences. This one is a really precious and tender one that, if you allow it to, can really help you through all manner of preventative scenarios. It has to do with creating a relationship with your inner child. Your inner child, I like to think, is the only relationship you're going to have for your whole life. The relationship with yourself. You came in with it. We came in with it, and we're going to be the only ones we have at the end. This relationship with ourselves. Regardless of what's happening externally to cause triggers or reactions in you, you will always have yourself to go to. So there's a reason why we saved this particular tool and exercise for last. I'm wondering, Karen, if you have some thoughts about inner child that you'd like to share from your experience.
When I first heard the concept of inner child, I thought it was kind of cheesy and irrelevant. But eventually, when my problems became more acute, my relationship challenges, I realized how very essential this concept is. And it became very important that I work with my inner child. And I don't know if you watched the video already about needs, but this was when I really began to learn that in my childhood that my needs, my emotional needs, had been neglected. And so even though I had a really good family on paper where we had all the basic needs met quite well, there was not an attunement to me as a child, a very sensitive child, to what I would actually really need emotionally. And as a result of that, I learned to neglect myself. So, and that my needs don't really matter. And that carried through in so many ways, in so many dynamics, in so many unhealthy relationships. And it wasn't until I began to acknowledge my inner child and give her what she needed that things started to change. And I began to grow up as an adult, because I think what happens if you don't really care for your inner child is, as an adult, you still behave like a child.
Yes.
You're sulky like a child. You're angry like a child. You're replaying childhood stories that are carrying forward into the moment. So you're not actually really fully present with what's actually happening. So I guess that's my experience.
So powerful. So I get an image of like your inner little girl holding you by the back of your shirt. Like, oh no, you're not going forward if you don't take care of me first, you know? For me, it was a little bit similar and a little bit different. I grew up in a family where I became the parent in the family very quickly. I was the eldest child, I was the eldest grandchild, I was the first in the family who spoke English as a native language. So, you know, I was making doctor's appointments at like 7 years old and stuff like that. So I had an inner child who grew up too fast and didn't get to play a lot, didn't get to be a child a lot. So maybe between Karen's experience and my experience, you'll find somewhere in there where you can locate yourself. What happened to you in your childhood really has a lot to do with how we help you stop being abusive today. So the exercise, a very practical exercise I'd love to have you do, is to really ask your inner child to come out and have a conversation with you. Now, they might pout and not be willing to. They might say, I'm going to give you the mental middle finger because I've been ignored for so long, I don't want to talk to you. That's possible. But what we ideally want is to cultivate a relationship with your inner child such that you can regularly converse and ask them what it is they need, what it is they're feeling. So the questions that we gave you in a couple of the other exercises earlier in this section of the mini course, what are you feeling, little Andrea? Mm-hmm. What do you need right now? And to be able to be in conversation where you actually hear that part of you tell you, I could really use a good cry right now. I could really use someone to play with right now. I could really use a beautiful violin piece of music right now. Whatever it is. Getting those needs met on an inner child level is going to help you so much on a preventative level. Anything you want to add?
I would say in my work with clients, I just have seen people, children are less developed in their brains. They don't have necessarily the support or capacity to handle the situations that they are dealt. Mm-hmm. So whatever situations that you experienced as a child that you couldn't make sense of, where you had overwhelming emotions, those experiences carry forward because you weren't able to handle it at that moment. Mm-hmm. So then it can come forward into your adulthood and surface as pain or a trigger, in which case you can have the opportunity to coach and parent the inner child and say, I know you don't understand why, your mom left, or why this person couldn't care for you. But I'm with you now, and I'm taking care of you, and I love you, and you can meet the needs that weren't met in your childhood. You can meet them now. And I've done that in countless sessions with clients, and it's very profound because there's this just weight lifted and a feeling of well-being that comes from tending to the unmet needs of your inner child and giving the child what it really needs. It's very beautiful. Yeah. So I really encourage you to embark on that adventure of giving your inner child what they need, and it's always a little unexpected.
It's true. It's true. You just never know what they're going to say. But that's the beauty of it. You're getting to know yourself so that you can manage the preventative part of this journey. And the inner child can be your ally in that.
Yeah, and one final thing I'll say is even if you don't know how to connect with your inner child, just the intention to connect is enough. At first you might feel a little weird. Like, let's say, for example, you decide to journal. That's a great way to connect, is to write and say, hi, like little Andrea, or hi, little Karen, how are you feeling? You might feel like you're making it up, or you might feel foolish, but stick with it because it's worth it to develop that connection.